My name is Jessa Robuck. I'm located in Ridgway, Colorado, a little bit outside of Telluride.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Matcha here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. And I'm graced with the presence of yet another interesting entrepreneur coming to us from the US. Welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Jessa Robuck. I'm located in Ridgway, Colorado, a little bit outside of Telluride, so very much so in the mountains. I am 40 years old, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Vita Loose Development. Just to kind of dive in about where this all started, I was leaving a very robust hospitality career and had been on a bunch of restaurant launches and a casino and a hotel startup launch. My background is actually in biology and English. That was my education, and I'm certified as a non-drug holistic health practitioner, and have always had an interest in health and wellness, and also always in agriculture. And there was just this point where I was leaving my last, I would say, corporate job per se. It was a smaller startup, and I was leaving this executive role, and it was just so important to me, and also finding out that I was expecting at the time too, that I transitioned my career into being a force of change and to being a voice for female entrepreneurs and a voice for, why aren't we thinking about things in a really big picture, holistic way? I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always been very ambitious. And some previous projects that I've worked on have involved kind of combining all of these different areas of my interest, but also where I saw a need in the world. And that was combining artist marketplaces and vertical grows and reconnecting people to their food source, especially coming from Philadelphia. And some of the volunteer programs that I participated in, some of these children that were coming on these volunteer farms had never seen a tomato before. So it was just so important over the course of my career to pull all of these important areas of need as far as food density, food scarcity, food swamps, food deserts coming from urban areas, but then also combining that as well with my career and being able to bring this to the world in a larger way, which to me was also community development and hospitality. So when I met my partner, my co-founder, Tanya, we had really just kind of geeked out about aeroponics and aquaponics and all things about conscious communities and reconnecting people to their food source. And when we had gone down that path, it just reignited, just conversationally, but it reignited this flame inside of me that was just so passionate about it. It's just so important to do something that matters and that has a positive impact. And we don't have to divorce that from building a profitable business model. We can have enterprises that are profitable from a business perspective, but also profitable from a community and economic stabilization and education perspective as well. We need to really shift how we're defining success in so many ways. And my kind of aha moment was just, like I said, when I was leaving my previous company that I was with and talking with Tanya and just feeling this passion inside of me welling up about conscious communities and reconnecting people to food sourcing and teaching people what it means to grow and produce again as a society. Having that conversation with Tanya, there was just this moment inside of me that felt fulfillment in even discussing that. So it was very pivotal for me, coming from where I came from, to shift into something that was impact aligned, that we were doing something that was positive for the environment, for the community, edifying education, edifying local economies and small business, and how are we pulling all of this together in a comprehensive way? And that was really the question we were asking ourselves, and where Vita Luce was born from. But more than anything to me, it just was this moment of, I'm expecting a child. I need to leave a world for her that is in some way, I'm touching it to be better than even what I inherited for her. So that was really my driving moment, I would say.
It's amazing what happens when you realize that you are carrying the next generation and you're wanting to leave the world in a better place. Now, it sounds like you have your work cut out for you. Just that consciousness that most children don't even know where vegetables are grown. They haven't even seen a vegetable in the ground. Tell us more about these communities. What does it take to set one up? Who's involved? Give us a little bit of detail there.
Sure. So we really started it by combining my co-founder, Tanya, her vision of residential meets vertical farming, and what I was doing previously in Philadelphia, which is artisan marketplaces with creator space, with vertical gardens, and hospitality as well, and just kind of combining that into one larger vision. And we call them our Ecoagro microcities. So it's our proprietary master plan circular economy. We're coming from a very big picture perspective, and it's very inherent to females, right? We think 1,000 steps ahead. We think of community before personal profits or personal gain. So I like to say that it celebrates the divine feminine as well. But in all honesty, it's just a holistic approach. I do tend to overuse that word. I apologize, but it's just so accurate in how we're building these communities. It's pulling everything together in this interconnected, seamless way from a master plan circular economy perspective. And what those elements are: renewable energy microgrids, vertical and regenerative farming, transportation share, zero waste programming, net zero modular built residential, net zero modular built retail with a small business incubator model, and then a central marketplace that combines chef and farmer programming, as well as culinary offerings and a robust education platform to make sure that we're also communicating the why behind what we're doing as far as building conscious communities.
That's absolutely fascinating. And so how fast are you scaling? Where do you have a presence? Is it just in the US or globally?
Right now, we're actually in our seed raise. So we're just a startup concept, and we're raising money to be able to launch this from a master plan perspective. So rather than bootstrapping it and kind of converting a community a little bit this way, it's so important to us that we come from that big picture perspective and absorb our supply chain and make sure that we have the interconnection that we want between all areas of the model. So our proposed phase one is a modular factory domestically in Kansas City, an Ecoagro microcity outside of Denver, Colorado, an Ecoagro microcity with a hospitality application, which is our boutique hotel that focuses on holistic wellness. And that's in Costa Rica, as well as a modular factory in Costa Rica. So we have a master raise going on, and we're raising an impact fund in order to be able to accomplish this particular project funnel, which is the creation of our master circular economy.
Now, it's challenging for women to get funding. What are you experiencing? How are you getting around that? That's a very, very challenging sphere to be in at this moment in time, correct?
It is. 3% of VC money currently goes towards women founders. There's a lot of reasons for this, and I'm not necessarily going to really dive into it too deeply, but what I can say is that it's very important for us to be a voice of change and a voice of the why behind the change. Women think a little bit differently. We structure companies differently. We think about person. An example of this is COVID and female leaders. We're seeing female leaders with a demonstrated data backed up success rate within their countries as far as attacking COVID and protecting the person before any sort of economic impact. And that's the community first approach. So, female leaders have a very demonstrated difference in how they approach things. And it's really all about community building to a different level. And I'm not saying in any way that this isn't something that men aren't capable of. I think, celebrating the divine feminine, whether it's in a female entity or a male entity, regardless, I think that we can all collaborate to be able to celebrate what feminine really brings to the table in a professional atmosphere. But there's some inherent challenges thinking differently about business when you're presenting to VC, venture capital, or private equity arenas. There's a lot of funds out there that we've discussed our model with, but one of the biggest challenges for us is that there's a very formulaic, hyper-focused approach in the VC world. So when you're raising capital as a woman, you have to fit in this criteria and this bucket, and this is what I want to see with a proven track record of this, and meet these revenues, and then hit these benchmarks, and then you can get funding, right? So that approach tends to have a pretty patriarchal structure to it. So it inherently inhibits non-traditional underrepresented funders. And that is BIPOC, LGBTQ, women, all the same are underrepresented, very specifically, especially in the United States. So what we're trying to do to overcome this is to raise our own fund, our own impact fund that not only serves the impact segment, but also hyper-focuses on ourselves as far as on underserved founders. So we're really trying to tackle this not only in the end project funnel of what we're doing by building these communities that celebrate equity and inclusion, but we're also doing that by trying to change the way the capital flows so that we are actually demonstrating, backing up with capital what our mission is as well. So it's a very, very ambitious, wild approach, I would say, untraditional to trying to raise capital and trying to back up this, intangible asset of the communities with capital. It's really tackling a myriad of problems, but at the same time, all we can do is go out and be voices for positive change in the world as much as we possibly can. So we have some really incredible partners that are supporting these endeavors and that are very vocal as well about the need for capital to stop flowing from privilege to privilege and start flowing to underserved founders. So we're just trying to be a vehicle for that change in every way we can, whether it be our communities or how we're raising money into our master fund.
Fascinating. Now, if you were to go back to the younger you, a couple of years ago when you had these ideas, wanting to get started, and you could give her some advice based on what experience you've had up until this point, what 3 nuggets of wisdom would you give that younger you?
I wish I had more than 3. In all honesty, it's looking back. It's really just, there's the one main thing I would say is to be unapologetic about the power of being a woman. We've been taught so many times, whether it be through different environments that we've had jobs in or social circles, that femininity is a weakness in a professional capacity. And as I lean into who I am in my career, the older I get, versus trying to change who I am to suit who's around me and to succeed given that specific set of circumstances. And we all do that, right? We try to be successful given the environment that we're in. As I lean into who I am, I realize my strengths as a woman and what that actually really does bring to the table in so many different ways. And I think it's been really apparent in the uniqueness of our vision and how comprehensively we are thinking about this. And the core of all of it is kindness. And it's kindness for the person, for the planet, for the community, for the future for our children. So, I think that that's something that is inherently feminine, and learning to stop apologizing for that is a lifelong, a lifelong endeavor. I still do. And I catch myself apologizing when I shouldn't. But that's, I would say, the biggest advice. Other than that, really just believing yourself. There's so many people, my younger self, where I would just say, well, I'm not big enough to play in this ballpark, or, I'm not, who am I that I deserve to be having this conversation about creating something I've never created and no one's ever created. But that's the whole point of leaning into who you are. I know that there's a lot of what we're doing with this company that's visionary, and that's another thing that we shouldn't apologize for. It's okay to think big, and it's okay to play big. And I just wish that someone had really fostered that and encouraged that in me when I was young. And when I had these ideas that I've literally been having, different iterations of this have come up throughout my career over the last more than decade. So it's just been something that I've always had a goal, that I've always had as a goal. I'm sorry, I haven't had enough coffee today. But really, it just took having the confidence in myself and having supportive partners like my co-founder Tanya, that were just so passionate and shared that passion for helping others as a priority, right? So surrounding yourself with people that share your vision is also important. Bringing it back to as a third and final point, it's community, making sure that you're surrounding yourself with the community that upholds your vision and your truth.
I love that. So now let me take you into the future as our final question. If time was an illusion and your past, your present, your future could all exist in the same line, and you could teleport into the future you and sit back and reflect at what you've created and what you've done, and you could have a conversation with that woman at the age of 100, what would you say to her based on how you're living your life right now?
I want to be humble about this, but I also I'm very hopeful that I'm able to achieve the impact that I desire to. So I hope I would be able to say thank you to her, to future me, for having the courage to stand by my vision, our vision, and for persevering to accomplish something that created a roadmap for conscious communities and responsible, conscientious building in the future. My hope is that what we're doing, it's that map for others to be able to unfold communities in the same way that are positive contributors. We talk about net zero, but really net positive. We want to better the world so that our children have the ability to breathe and to pick tomatoes in their yard, and these things that we take for granted. So my hope is that this is something that not only Vita Luz can unfold globally, but we can provide a roadmap for others to build in the same way, that it's not consumptive or damaging, but that it's positively contributing to the world. So I hope I would be able to say thank you for creating something that would enable people to seamlessly live at one with each other and the world and the community around them. That's really the hope.
That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for coming online today and gracing us with your knowledge, with your presence. I wish you luck with this amazing project. It will be nice to reconnect with you in a few years' time and see how things are going. I do believe that the timing is good. Your timing is right in terms of what you're trying to achieve. I mean, look at the state the world is in right now. And the best countries in the world that are surviving this pandemic are New Zealand, female-led. And it is all about community and remembering that it's not just about you, but the greater whole. So kudos to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I hope so. And next time we'll have to meet in person in one of our Vita Leaf condos in Costa Rica and have a little Mai Tai while we discuss how we can help more of the world.
I love that. I love that. No, thank you so much. This was wonderful to meet you. Yeah. And I will be in touch and let you know when this goes online. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Very, very interesting content we have this morning. Do connect with Jessa. I will put your website on this interview so people can connect with you as well. And would love to track your progress and see how you do. Bye for now, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing guest. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now. Thank you, Jessa.
Thank you.